Arizona is traveling to Kansas State for a non-conference game. All right. Arizona's defense did not look good against New Mexico. I don't know what this Arizona team is, to be honest. And then offensively, I thought they were going to be really good. They didn't really open up the playbook against Northern Arizona, and they just like didn't. I don't know. I'm assuming that they didn't open up the playbook because it didn't look like they were trying to run stuff that was crazy, and they weren't getting Ted McMillan open. It looked like they were just trying to get out of that game to go to Manhattan and healthy, not having shown their entire playbook, but I'm looking at this game and the line is 7. Kansas State -7. And Kansas State this far hasn't looked that good either, man. I mean, I know Avery Johnson is supposed to be the guy, right? But so far, Will Howard and Kyle McCord are kind of winning the 3-team trade right there. So I'm I don't know. What are your thoughts on this game?
It's really interesting. I think obviously neither team has kind of looked great. And I think these are two quarterbacks that we were super, super high on. And coaching staffs, obviously Brent Brennan coming in new, but obviously what Chris Kleiman has done at Kansas State has been super, super impressive. So it's really interesting. I mean, obviously, like you said, it's an out of conference game. So it's not going to count for the Big 12 things, but it's going to tell us a lot about these teams, about potential two-bid league for Big 12. These are two teams that are obviously right up there. Yeah, it's really interesting. I don't know how I feel about this. I look at Arizona, and back in week one, you mentioned New Mexico giving them troubles, and Devin Dampier, who's a very good quarterback, right? But I also think Avery Johnson is a better quarterback than that, more talented. He gave him fits through the air, but also on the ground. Dampier was 15 of 130 for 2 touchdowns on the ground. And Avery Johnson didn't quite do that a ton last week against Tulane. It was a lot of get-ins, a lot of get-ins, a lot of get-ins, which is good because he's a stud. We know that by now. But it'd be interesting to see, how they sprinkle in guys like Dylan Edwards, guys like Avery Johnson on the ground and what they can do with that. Yeah. But again, Kansas State's defense, that was something we were worried about. And Arizona can take advantage of that. I really believe that. I don't really look at, the Northern Arizona score and get super concerned with how Fafita looked or whatnot. I think, you know, with Shakori, with the running back coming back for Arizona that missed last week, Willie Conley, right? Obviously a great 1-2 punch there. Feel good about Ted McMillan and the weapons that Fafita has to throw to. It's going to be awesome. If anything, I wish we could pick the total here because I think we could see a pretty high total. But um, if I have to give a pick, I'm just going to go Kansas State to win because they're at home, and I think their coaching staff is a little bit more experienced, a little bit more proven at this level. And then I'll go Arizona cover because I do think it's going to be a good game. I do think they're going to be able to put up a lot of points even on the road. Yeah, but again, not an out of conference game. So, or it is not a conference game, so not the end of the world for Arizona to lose, necessarily in for their playoff hopes, for their Big 12 hopes. But obviously it would be a signature win for Kansas State to add to their resume.
I'm gonna roll with Arizona to cover, but I'm also gonna roll with Arizona to win. And this is I don't like this at all because I'm just not sure. I'm not convinced that Arizona has really opened up the can of worms that is the talent on their team. And I think it's a really talented roster. This might just be preseason bias for me, wanting my priors to be confirmed, right? Taking the Kansas State under and the Arizona over, but I'm just I like what they have. I like what Kansas State has on defense, but I think Arizona offensively can do a lot. And I think there's a chance. I'm not sure how I feel. Again, I'm not sure how I feel about this Arizona defense. I thought I was going to feel better about it, but it's looked pretty not awesome the first 2 weeks, or at least against New Mexico. We'll see. And yeah, obviously they struggle with an athletic quarterback like Dampier, so Arizona could be struggling with it's Avery Johnson. And like you said, even if Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt wasn't playing, I'd still feel good about Quayle Conley because he's been spectacular the last couple of weeks, averaging like almost 8 yards a carry. But again, they've played New Mexico and Northern Arizona, so of course his run games look good, right? This is going to be the first set of bodies that Arizona is going to be playing against in the trenches, and Also, too, I mean, Arizona's missing a valuable player on their offensive line from the beginning of the season when they thought that they were going to have a really special talent there. So that could play a huge impact on this, because I feel like if Fafita is getting pressured, I feel like could be some trouble there, right? But I'm gonna ride with Arizona to cover, and I'm gonna ride with Arizona to win. And I'm not sure how great I feel about that. But then, like, I don't know. Like, do you feel good about taking Kansas State to win? Like, I know you like their coaching staff better right now.
The only thing is I was concerned about how they were going to get after the quarterback this year, I guess going back to the offseason. And they did have 5 sacks, 11 TFLs against Tulane last week on the road there. And obviously,
Yeah.
yes, Tulane is we feel pretty good about them in the American, but not necessarily. Obviously, Arizona, you feel pretty good about their offense to be better than Tulane's. Obviously, it's going to challenge Kansas State more. So I guess that was, rewarding to see, or I guess encouraging sign. But again, yeah, I don't feel good. Again, that's why I almost really picked the over on this game because I do think there's one thing I know. I think there's gonna be a lot of points scored, a lot of points scored. But um, regardless, it'll be about taking care of the football. It'll be about field position, capitalizing the red zone, not turning or not kicking, settling for field goals. And I do think, Avery Johnson's going to be able to do that. And with him and Giddens and their ground game, especially, I think they'll be able, to capitalize in the red zone and take advantage um, of Arizona's defense. Has Kansas State, you think wow. Do you think they've missed Colin Klein? Obviously, it's early, but they looked pretty good against Tulane. Obviously, Avery Johnson didn't look fantastic, but you
Uh,
know,
I mean, it's too early to tell, right? I mean, it's not like Texas A&M's offense has looked worlds better either. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, internally, right? I mean, it was a promotion, right? Connor Riley was
bumped up.
he was bumped up from all line coach to offensive coordinator. I mean, I think he's still really involved in that offensive line, but um, yeah, I don't. I think it's too early to tell with that. I mean, the one I'm more concerned about, coordinator changes. I'm concerned about Jeff Levy at Oklahoma, right? We talked about that or like earlier, but
Or even Johnny Nansen.
Johnny Nansen could be a very interesting one for Arizona to lose. I'll say this: if this game is a blowout, it will be Kansas State that will be handing the blowout to Arizona. All right, but I'm hoping that this is a good game. And I think if it's a close game, I think I like the playmakers for Arizona better than I like the playmakers for Kansas State.